Okay, I've got a very short presentation I'm just going to walk through, and then I have a suspicion one or two of you may have questions. So I will try and address those questions. So, getting started. So, each of the boards of directors met on Saturday morning of this week, and we passed resolutions, board resolutions. Our board said yes to proceed, and the TSH board said we'll wait to proceed. They did say that they will continue with the capital planning and they will take the $3 million or whatever share of it, the $3 million the ministry wants, is going to give us. And they also said that they would continue with clinical integration. But they said in terms of the merger, they were putting that off pending resolution of financial support from the ministry. We have spoken to the minister on Friday morning jointly. We had a conference call with the minister, the board chairs of the two hospitals and the two CEOs. We all heard the same message from the minister. We interpreted that message, which was included in that letter that was published in the E-Echo, as a promise from the minister to work with us creatively in the future to resolve the funding issues. And we certainly accepted that the $3 million that the ministry has put on the table was an initial step to advance capital planning. We have a meeting of the members of the hospital corporation tonight. That meeting was originally going to be requesting the members to approve the merger. Since that is, the timing of that is somewhat uncertain at the moment, we will not be asking for approval of anything. We will just be providing an update to the members of the corporation. We continue to have ongoing discussions with the ministry, in particular what is expected in terms of the $3 million funding that they are providing. So we're waiting for the administrative letter to support that. And the people are sort of blocked in the hallways now. Can you guys move in so everybody can see, hear, and participate? Because there are more people coming. Okay. We are and we will continue to be working with TSH around clinical integration and around whatever the requirements are from the ministry for using the $3 million capital grant. So we have not stopped talking. We have not stopped moving forward on integrating the two organizations. We at Rouge are firmly committed to this process. We believe it is the right thing to do for both organizations and more particularly for our communities. And TSH has said similar things in the media today. So we are moving forward. We are continuing to work with the Central East LHIN, the ministry and TSH. In fact, we have a joint meeting with the Central East LHIN at their board meeting next Wednesday, 26th. So both TSH and ourselves will be meeting with the LHIN board to discuss where we are at with the merger discussions and integration. As I said, we are fully committed to the merger and the benefits it brings. Open season for questions. Any questions at Ajax? Oh, here's a question.
So what are your plans?
What are my plans? You guys. My plans are I shall be here at least till the end of June. So, there we go.
Will we know by then?
I don't know the answer to that, John. So John's question was, will we know by then? And I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I think the minister was fairly clear with us that they see the funding that they have provided to us, both the money that the LIN has provided or has agreed to provide in terms of due diligence support, and the $3 million towards the initial capital planning. The minister was very clear that she sees that as unprecedented support in a merger situation. And certainly I have confirmed with other organizations that have been through mergers in the last couple of years that they did not receive any financial support from government through that process. Hi.
I'm just wondering.
Sorry. So one more at the back and then go ahead.
Do we know what the criteria is for Scarborough General to decide when we will proceed with the merger?
No. So the question was, do we know what criteria Scarborough General or Scarborough Hospital is using to decide if and when to proceed with the merger? And the answer is no, we do not have specific criteria. Although I think if you read their news release, clearly it is tied to funding. One here and then one at the back. So.
Well, I think I've got my answer, because basically it seems that, you know, there's two different perceptions of the communication that came from the minister. One here and one at the Scarborough Hospital rather. And I'm just wondering if, are we aware of what their perception is? Because it does appear to sound like there is funding there being presented.
So we know we are receiving, or will receive, $3 million for initial capital planning. We don't exactly know what that looks like yet.
Okay, so
I'm going to ask the lady. Hi.
Sorry. I'm just wondering at what point the ministry would step in and say, enough discussion, you're merging, and carry on.
I have no basis on which to speculate where the ministry or what actions the ministry may take. I don't know whether they would step in or not. You know, they certainly seem to, based on the minister's letters, agree on the vision that we have for bringing the two organizations together. And Scarborough Hospital continues to believe in that vision as well. You certainly read their press release, and it's clear that they believe the merger is a benefit, as we do. Pauline?
I'm wondering if their decision is based on the fact that $3 million is forthcoming, the $30 million is deficit that needs to be overcome. Do you think that has
So Pauline's question is, she wonders whether the TSH decision is that based on the $30 million that didn't come. Again, you have to read their press release. I can't comment on and won't comment on what their thinking was. But clearly there are costs associated with the merger. We know that. We articulated what those are. I believe those costs are conservatively stated, and that there are substantial financial benefits that the merger offers as well, which would offer a payback on those costs. The challenge both hospitals face is that we have relatively weakened balance sheets because of histories of financial problems. Ours is a little better than theirs, but that's just, we're a different period of time than they are.
But if we knew all of that as we were working through this process, what stopped Toronto Scarborough Hospital, like now, to say no or wait?
So again, you're asking me to speculate as to what their thinking was, and I'm not in a position to do that. Certainly we were, you know, we still believe that there are opportunities to mitigate these costs. We believe there is upside in the revenue stream for both of the hospitals, or jointly for the joint hospital. So we continue to believe at Rouge Valley that this merger is the right thing to do. John?
What does it mean for the obstetrics and maternal newborn discussions that were instructed quite separately from the other part of the merger?
Right. So the question there is, what does this mean for maternal child, which were dealt with separately in the motions from the LIN? And the answer is we had asked the LIN for a deferral of that while we moved through the merger process. Since the merger process is now stalled to some extent, then I am pretty sure that the Local Health Integration Network, Central East Local Health Integration Network, will be requiring us to start advancing the agenda for maternal child. And again, the Scarborough Hospital has said they are more than willing to work with us on advancing clinical integration. Kathy?
In terms of, I understand clinical integration, does that mean back office is on the back burner or stalled?
I think we can continue to have whatever conversations we think are right. So if we think the right thing to do is starting to advance the back office integrations, then we should do that.
Do you see this as a minor or a major setback, and if so, why?
I am hoping it's a minor setback. I'm hoping it's more of a timing issue than a this deal is dead issue. Yeah.
I was just wondering if there is any next step to the integration or just waiting?
So sorry, didn't quite hear the question.
Is there any next step for us to
Any-
take or just waiting?
Any next step? Well, I think the next steps will be, certainly we have to continue the dialogue with the ministry to get clarity on what they are expecting out of the $3 million. We have to be presenting to the Central East LIN board a week tomorrow. So that's another next step. I'm pretty sure the Central East LIN board is going to be asking us to move forward on some of the other integration fronts, whether that's clinical integration or back office. They've always had that expectation. So I'm sure those will be next steps as well. Okay, any more questions? Kathy again?
Did the board Scarborough position, was it unanimous, or did it include physician representation?
I believe, I'm not sure I know the answer to that. I believe, I'm not sure, where's Dave?
It was unanimous.
So sorry, the question was the Scarborough Hospital board decision unanimous, and did it include physician representatives? I do not know the answer to that. I would expect that their physician members were there, but I don't know for a fact. So David and John.
Just a note on your reply.
Sorry.
Just a note on that reply before you go to the next question. I know that their board decision at TSH was unanimous. I don't know about the physician component, but I do know among their board it was stated as unanimous.
Okay, so there we go, David's got the facts there, so it was unanimous. John?
The same comment was that the meeting we had with the bylaw meeting where they did discuss this, their physicians were behind the merger but were not prepared to go ahead without financial backing. And so I would understand that that was their position.
Certainly I've heard that before, yes. So the comment there was that at a joint bylaw discussion with the TSH physicians, their position was that they were uncomfortable moving forward without financial backing for the merger. Okay, so, sorry, one more, Pauline, sorry.
Just one more little question. If they are so uncomfortable with moving forward, why are you so comfortable with moving forward?
It has nothing to do with where your plans are.
Repeat the question.
So first of all,
Can you repeat it?
so
You're on senior team.
sure. So if they are uncomfortable moving forward, why am I so comfortable that we should move forward? I believe that the value proposition from the merger outweighs any of the potential challenges that the merger brings. So I think the benefit for building critical mass for integration of clinical programs, for improving access to services, for the future expansion of services, all outweigh any of the risks. And I think we have a duty to our communities to advance this process. I think the benefits are that good. There are some financial challenges, but I believe those financial challenges can be mitigated. I do not believe they have to be mitigated up front. We certainly have shown in the past that working with our funding partners, whether it's the Central East Lynn or the ministry, we have been able to resolve financial issues in an amicable way as we've moved the agenda forward. So I believe strongly that that opportunity continues to exist and that we can resolve these financial challenges as we move along through the process.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, yep, one more.
Is there any concern that the delay may mean a provincial election comes in before the merger and any funding promises?
So the question there was, is there any concern that a provincial election could interrupt the merger and could threaten whatever funding has been promised? I really cannot answer that. I have no idea what government's plans are around the election. They've made the announcement on the funding. I think if we get that letter relatively quickly, and I've no reason to believe that we won't get it relatively quickly, then once we've got the funding letter, then it's in process. So I think we need to move forward on that as expeditiously as possible and start the planning, because there's no doubt that we need to refurbish the facilities in Scarborough in some way, and we need to expand the facilities in West Durham to serve the population that we're trying to serve today, let alone the population for the future. So we need to do this stuff. Let's get on with it. Any other questions? Yep.
I'm still trying to digest the answer to the question to why are they not comfortable and why are we comfortable? And it seems to be, I just want to make sure that it's clear in my head, is that the difference lies in their perception of funding risk versus how we perceive funding risk, whether it's sufficient, whether it's mitigated, etc.
So I will, that was less of a question and more of a statement, and I think the statement was that it appears that TSH has a view of the funding risk that is different to ours, and I think that is probably a fair comment.
And that is that would be a main reason for them for holding their position versus ours.
Can't comment.
I said I wouldn't say anything.
Welcome.
I agree with the hospital since they put the shovel in the ground, okay? And I put many hours and many dollars into this hospital. And this last move, where we merged, I see absolutely nothing good coming from it. I watched some of the staff who were 2 days here and 3 days in Ajax, Pickering, and switch. They're driving it in the bad snow, taking 16 miles, and I saw how that wore them down. Our minister, he's over there 3 days, he's here 2 days. We need him in our hospital. Well, oh, I'm sorry, he's over in Ajax, Pickering. I'm sure it's not as good, not any better there. And we've lost our eye clinic because, I don't know why, they decided to move it somewhere else. So I had to go to Washington, where to go to our eye clinic. So I really don't see how this is going to be any better. You just seem to be stepping over, taking somebody else's debt all the time. We were out of debt when we joined up with Ajax Pickering. And now we've got everything straightened out. Now we're going to take on another hospital that is having problems. So I don't see why you would ever be for it. Maybe it's great for you, you feel very great having a big hospital, but I don't think big is better. I think if we have our own community, keep our doctors looked after, and the staff. I mean, there's no two ways about it. I saw in several instances where the staff were really run down. I'm in here quite a lot. So I really don't know why you would even think about it, where the next government comes in and says, that's all our staff gave. When do you stop trying to amalgamate? They made a mess when they amalgamated Toronto, the Great Toronto. They've never been in such a mess in their lives. You can't handle that sort of thing. We just can't do with that. And I say, let's keep let's do it the way we are. We've managed to struggle on and pretty well keep our heads above water. But I don't agree with you at all.
So thank you for your comments, but unfortunately, we cannot sustain the status quo. So I think hoping that these two institutions can continue to thrive on their own is nothing more than wishful thinking, I'm afraid. So the way the funding systems have changed and the way financial constraint faces the healthcare system, we have no choice but to change. And while that may not be pleasant, while it may be worrying to many people, it is a choice that we do not have. We have to change, and we have to adapt the system to meet the funding realities that the province faces. So I'm afraid we will be changing. Thoros.
How long can Rouge stay in the position anticipating a merger, and merger not happening before it becomes a risk for us?
I think I don't have an answer to that. The question was, how long can we sustain ourselves waiting for a merger before a merger happens? You know, our blue book for this year is published, and we know what our financial plan is for this year. We will have a surplus again in 2014-15. We will have the capital investments that we've made, so we will get through this year. And for the last few years, we've got through every year. We will go through, we can probably go out into 15-16, possibly 16-17, without significant negative impacts. And negative impacts are not improving efficiency. Negative impacts come from service reductions. So I think we can sustain services or maintain services through the next couple of years. That crystal ball gets a little foggy when you get any further out. The answer to the question also comes around to, it also depends how quickly we can move on clinical integration. And that includes with Scarborough, it also includes with the community. So there are lots of other integration opportunities that we will and can continue to pursue. Okay, thank you very much everybody. Have a good afternoon. We will continue to be in touch.